Hi everyone, welcome to Salesforce Topics channel. In this video, let us discuss on the enforcing of object and field level security in custom Apex. As we know, we can configure the Salesforce data security in 4 levels: organization level, object level, field level, and record level. In this video, we will discuss how to enforce the object level and field level security in custom Apex. For this demo, we will use this small application. Using this application, users can get the pending service request by using this button. User can add the service request by clicking on this button and by selecting the fields. For example, here I am entering these details. And once user clicks on the create service request, it will be created and it will get displayed in the pending service request. Users can also update the service request by selecting any of the service request and by modifying the data and by clicking the update service request button. The data has been updated. And in the same way, users can also delete the service request by using this delete service button. For this application, we have a custom object, that is service request custom object. Under this, we have fields like the bill amount, city, comments, free service, etc. To see the object level and field level security effect in custom Apex classes, we will use the user called tech1 user. And for tech1 user, let's configure object and field level security for our custom object. As we know, we can configure the object level and field level security under profiles and permission sets of the users. Under profile, I'm not going to give any access for the custom object. So under profile, if you see, the service request does not have any permission at object level and field level. I'm going to give the permissions on our custom object in the permission set of this user. So let's select the permission set, object settings. For our service request object, I'm going to give the following permissions at object level and field level. At the object level, I'm going to give read, create, edit, and I don't want to allow the users to delete the records of this object, so I have not given a delete permission. I'm going to give read and edit access of all the fields for this permission set, so that whomever has this permission set, they should be able to edit complete all the fields. And this permission set is being assigned to our user, tech1 user. For more details on object level and field level configurations, please go through this video in our channel, that is 4 levels of data security. Over there we have discussed clearly on all the levels of data security. Now let me log in as a tech1 user. And when tech1 user clicks on the get pending service request, he will be able to see all the records that he has access, and he has access to all the fields. That's why he is able to see the data on all the fields. This user can also update the record, updating a comment here. For this application, we are using the custom Apex class, where we have a simple method. For get pending SRs button, we are making use of the method called get service request method, where we have a custom code to fetch the pending records and to return those records. And for this update SR button, we are making use of update service request method, where we are getting all the details from the UI and updating using the custom code. Same way, for the deletion of SR, we are making use of one method, that is custom method delete service request, where we pass the ID of the service request and we delete that record using the DML delete. Same way, for the creation of SR, on click of create SR, we are making use of the create service request method, where we are going to create a service request by populating all the values we receive from the UI, and we are inserting the service request by using the DML insert. Please note that I have used this simple select, update, create, delete custom code to just demonstrate the object and field level security enforcement in custom Apex. Otherwise, we could have used a simple Lightning UI methods record, create record, and delete records. Let us assume we have a requirement that is free service and bill amount. These two fields should not be exposed to Tech1 user. For this, at the permission set level, we will remove the read and edit access and see the default behavior of the Apex class. For this, at the permission set level, I am going to remove the access, edit access and read access for the bill amount and free service field. Now we have removed the bill amount and free service read and edit accesses for this user at this permission set level. Let's log in as Tech1 user and see the behavior now. Our expectation is now Tech1 user should not be able to see free service and bill amount data, but once he click on get service request, he is able to see this data too. The reason is by default Apex runs in a system mode with respect to the object level and field level security. That means by default Apex doesn't care about whether user has an access to the object and fields. It directly runs in a system mode so that the Apex will not fail unnecessarily if the user does not have access to the fields or object. This is the default behavior of Apex. Apex runs in a system mode without respecting the field level, object level security for the users. The reason could be Salesforce selected this approach by running into the system mode to minimize the number of errors thrown if user does not have access to the fields or object. For example, in this case, if it would have run in this user mode, it would have failed at this line because the Tech1 user does not have access to these two fields. Like that, many users will face errors in the Apex if they do not have field access or object accesses. But because of this Apex default behavior that is running in a system mode, we have a problem here. That is, though Tech1 user does not have access to the free service and bill amount, now he is able to see the free service and bill amount values. In such cases, it is developer's responsibility to enforce the field level and object level security on the custom Apex. For this, we have 4 enforcing techniques. The first one is with security enforced. The second one is with user mode. The third one is strip inaccessible method. And fourth one is subject and field describe result methods. We will see each one of these in detail one by one. Let us see the first enforcement technique, that is with security enforced keyword. We can apply this keyword to the SOKL query, but we cannot apply this keyword to the DML. For example, when user clicks on the get service request method, this method gets called, and for this method we have a SOKL query, and for this SOKL query we can add with security enforced keyword. Once we applied this keyword to the SOKL query, the security is enforced for the fields and objects of this SOKL. Let's deploy this code. Now let's see the behavior in the UI for the Tech1 user. Once he click on the get pending service request, please note that he does not have access to the free service and bill amount fields, and we are enforcing the security with the with security enforced keyword for this SOKL. Hence, Now once he click on this button, he will get displayed with a insufficient permissions error message. That means now the security is enforced for this SOQL. This technique that with security enforced has some limitations. That is, first of all, it is not applicable to the DML statements. The second one is it is only applicable to the fields that are selected in the select class and from class, that is object under from class. That means it is applicable to all the fields that we selected in this query and the object, but not the fields that we are using in the where condition. For example, let's assume user has all access to all the fields and object, but he does not have access to the field that is mentioned in the where condition, that is status field. In this case, though we have used with security enforced keyword on this SOQL, it gets executes without giving any error, because this with security enforced is applies to only select and from classes. The next limitation is the traversing a polymorphic field relationship is not supported except owner created by and last modified by. That means if we have a query like this, here in a select class we have a traversing of polymorphic field relationship, that is a polymorphic field called what we are traversing, that is what.name. If we use with security enforced for this SOQL query, we will get an error message. For example, let's try to deploy this code, this line of code where we have a select query with polymorphic field relationship and we applied with security enforced. Now if we try to deploy this, it will not allow us to deploy, saying that the polymorphic field what is not supported for this with security enforced. Another limitation is it finds only the first error in the SOQL. That means in this example, user does not have access to the bill amount field and free service field. Since we used with security enforced, Apex throws an error soon after it finds the first field that user does not have access to, that is bill amount field. It will not check for the other field access level. Here itself it throws the query exception. The next limitation is throws exception, developer has to handle it. So here it is throwing an error. So developer has to handle this exception according to the requirement. For example, let's create try catch block and push this code to the try catch block. And let's catch the query exception. So aura handle exception. Proper message whatever we get from the query exception. Deploy the code. Now when tech1 user accesses this method, the tech1 user gets the message that we thrown using the aura handle exception. These are all the limitations with the security enforced technique. Because of all these limitations, Salesforce is not recommending us to use this with security enforced. Instead of this, Salesforce is recommending us to use another enforcing technique, that is with user mode keyword. The next technique for enforcing the object and field level permission security in custom Apex is with user mode. With user mode we can apply to the SOQL queries as well as DML operations. In our example, let us use with user mode instead of with security enforced and see the behavior. Let's deploy this code. Please note that for tech1 users, we are not exposing free service and bill amount, and now we are using the with user mode keyword for our SOQL. So once tech1 user clicks on the get pending service request, tech1 user sees this error message. Similarly, as like user mode, we have a with system mode keyword. If we use with system mode keyword, this SOQL runs in a system mode. That means it does not respect the field level and object level security enforcement. But there is no much use of this keyword because anyway, if we remove this SOQL runs in a system mode. And as we have discussed, this user mode can be applied to the DML statements also. Let's see that. So here we have update service request method where we are using the DML statement, that is update. So if you want to run this update statement in a user mode, we just need to mention update as user in the records. Now the field level and object level security is enforced for the users. Let's deploy this code. Now let's try to update this service request. I'm just updating the comment. User will not be able to update because of the object level and field level security enforcement. Please note that this user mode and system mode we can apply to the database methods. Like for example, for this update, instead of like this, we can use database update method. Database dot update by passing the access level as a user mode. So here the object is going to be our service request and the access level is going to be the user mode. Like this, for all the database methods, we can pass the extra parameter, that is user mode or system mode. Apart from this DML advantage, it has another advantages over with security enforced. Those are, the first one we have seen that it can be applied to the DML statements as well. The second one is it can be applicable to the where clauses also. If you remember, with security enforced was not applicable to the where classes fields that we have mentioned in the SOQL, but whereas with user mode, all the fields mentioned in the select from and where classes will be enforced as per the field level and object level configurations for the user. The next advantage is traversing of polymorphic field relationship is supported with user mode. For example, this statement we can use with user mode and we can deploy. Other advantage is it finds all the errors in SOQL, which means in our case, when you apply with user mode for the SOQL, it finds all the fields that user does not have access to, like bill amount and free service, and it captures these two fields in a query exception get inaccessible method. Using that, we will come to know what are all the fields are not accessible for the particular user. For example, let's capture that inaccessible fields from the method query exception dot get inaccessible fields. Over there we will get all the inaccessible fields into this set for each and every object that is involved in the database operation, and from there we can get the list of inaccessible fields and we can display to the user as like this. Let's save this and deploy this. Now when Tech1 user tries to access this pending request, he will get an error message with the two inaccessible field information. That is, bill amount and free service fields are inaccessible fields. This user mode has one limitation. If you observe, this user mode also will throw an error that we need to handle. This is not actually a limitation, it is a behavior. Developer has to handle that exception. In this video, we have covered two enforcing techniques for object and field level permissions, that is with security enforced, which can be applied on SOQL but not on DML, and the next one is with user mode, which can be applied to the SOQL and DML. In the next video, we will see the other two options that we have for enforcing object and field level security in custom Apex. Those are stripInaccessible and sObject and field describe result methods. Thanks for watching. We will meet in the next session.